Thank you so much. I'm sitting here reminded of, a lot of us that have gone through careers in public safety realize that some of the more challenging parts of it are managing the human resources. You're focusing on the job, you're trying to stay connected to your stakeholders, but managing people can be very challenging, very difficult, and it starts with hiring. I don't think I've ever been in a hiring interview where the person across the table that said, "I'm going to be really great for 3 years, and then at year 4, I'm really going to be, a pain," and having to, I think, set up your hiring principles, your procedures, your questions, and then training continues. I had the luck of consulting with one of the other county departments of corrections a couple of years ago, and I saw just how difficult the environment is, and the job itself, and to keep people motivated is really interesting. Thank you. Any other thoughts about that, or as you continue to keep people engaged and motivated in career professional development?
Sure. What I like to say whenever I'm in a panel as such, I like to use the word evolve. We are in a history, not just within our state, we are in a history where we have to adapt to changes. Some changes may be good and some changes may be bad, but at the end of the day, those changes are for the safety of everyone. With that being said, when it comes to our hiring, we always want to allow that our applicants to know that at any moment, things can change. With training, there's training that's involved in it. So we always want to hopefully be 2 steps or 10 steps ahead of the game, just to assure safety.
Thank you very much. And again, we are just amazed at your grace and your experience in a very difficult work environment, all of you, because it is so dynamic. And I'm also reminded of a story, something you said sort of reminded me. Part of our role here today is to keep this connected to the academic setting, and all of us have learned a lot of things, but until you get to apply those cultural, organizational culture kinds of principles, it's nothing but words on paper. One of my favorite professors that I've seen a lot for organizational culture and like employee selection, Professor Jim Collins. He was active on the lecture circuit in Stanford, California, and he had this theory of, get the right people on the bus and then figure out where they fit. So many times I think in life, we want to fill this box in the organizational chart, we want to hire for this position, and even in public safety and public sector, our hands are tied a bit because the positions are tied to the budget or tied to a position number. And to change the org chart requires a lot of work, but it can be done. And it sounds like your agency has done that. I know Chief Lohr knows what I'm talking about, has probably had to do that to fit where he is and figure out, get everybody on the bus and then figure out where they sit and build your organization around that. Little factoid, Kathy, when I left local government and went to the state government a couple of years ago, I applied at the Maryland Emergency Management Agency too for the same position that Allegra has, and they chose her. And I think you see they chose very, very wisely. And I say this all the time to embarrass Allegra that I could not have done what she did with where we are today. And to my point about get everybody on the bus, I guess the powers to be, I was fortunate they wanted to hire me too and found another position, and things evolve, as Lieutenant Gray just said. So that's a great way, I think, to say it. And you have to come to work every day excited and also ready to be nimble and change to the surrounding. Kathy, back to you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you, Lieutenant Gray. And while we're on the topic of evolving and adapting, we are now in an unprecedented time, not just the pandemic, but the cascading effects of this pandemic, of the social and racial unrest, of the problems that are complex and the problems that we don't even know are problems just yet. And yet we are teaching our students in all of our classes to prepare and deal with those problems. So we wanted to come together in this forum to really take a step back, to look at what we're doing and how we can make change. So the next question is for all of you, and we'll go around and let you respond. So what are the specific actions that we can take to build public trust between the citizens and our public safety sector? First, that's the first part of the question. The second part is, what do we tell our students? How do we describe the environment in which they're walking into? A fractured relationships with their community, an environment where change is the constant. And what would your good advice be to them? And we'll unpack this differently as we go along. We'll start with Chief Lohr. What are your thoughts?
Well, there's a lot of complexity to your question, Kathy. kudos to you there. You know, I think sometimes we make things more complex than they need to be. One of the things I do with all recruits and have done for many years is set simple expectations for excellent service, whatever that means. And I think that Lieutenant Gray made the best point that this changes, right? I mean, in my career, nothing has changed the public safety role more than social media. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody gets to express that opinion in their own way. But at the end of the day, I always tell our recruits, look, excellent service is the common denominator. It's our magnetic north. And the public expects it, whatever that looks like in 2021 compared to how it looked in 1971. The political leaders demand it because they want reelected. And it's our job as leaders to make sure they get it. And if people have that basic understanding that the leaders in the organization are going to hold them to a performance standard. I think what's drifted away, the performance standard stuff is easy. If I have a firefighter that goes out here and makes a mistake on a call, they drop an EMT skill and didn't do something by protocol. They didn't get the line where it needed to go on the fire right away as fast as everybody thought. We have task lists, we have retraining, we have all these other things. Those are easy, but when you have someone that just is mean or treats people badly, that is a behavioral based thing that needs to be reset and reset quickly. And you only have to do that once or twice in an organization for that to spread like the fires we're trying to put out all the time. Around here in 2021, you can make those technical mistakes, those performance mistakes, and we're going to retrain you. We're going to do all those things I said. But if you go out here and treat somebody really poorly and you misbehave in that regard, you're going to be in the principal's office and you're going to lose something that you had when you got here. So I think that's my best answer for that. And I believe it's universal. I don't care if you're flipping burgers at McDonald's or you're riding up and down the street on EMS units or you're in corrections or law enforcement or whatever. That's why I love this whole reclaiming humanity thing. This is just basic stuff, second grade stuff.
Thank you so much. And Allegra, let's bounce to you and let's talk about trust. You represent the government and you have built this entire program with the private sector and it has grown tremendously. How did you build trust? How do they trust the information that is coming to them from you? Because oftentimes it is critical information in which they must take action.
So as a public servant, I always believe that my mission in working in public service or public administration is transparency. And transparency is key in setting expectations, and that helps with building trust. But however, trust can't be built unless there is time and relationship building. And relationship building comes with, again, transparency and setting those expectations and understanding both parties. So one of the key areas that I focused on was leveraging the subject matter experts to lay out all of the information that they had and to connect them with the private sector companies, and have also the private sector lay out expectations and lay out all the information that they had. And the point is that conversations, if, now we're in a situation where we have to be socially distant, We're engaged, we're leveraging technology to have the one-on-one, but technically the roundtable discussions are always a place to start. When we look at countries, I have a academic background in working in developing countries. And when you go into a foreign country, and a lot of reasons why development projects fail is because someone external wants to input their ideologies or create a project that might work somewhere else, but not necessarily work in the country that has the problem and that they're going to service. So having focus groups, having opportunities to share the information, understand the culture, understand people's body language and the culture of who they are representing and what the mission is of their organization helps set those expectations, create that transparency, build those relationships that then establish trust. And these are not difficult concepts. I mean, these are concepts that we live and breathe every day when we are trying to make friends in school, trying to build friendships outside in the professional environment or socially or personally. The relationship building comes from sharing who you are and your culture and what you represent, and setting those expectations so that the person in front of you knows how to respond to that. So I used a lot of humanities concepts and sociological approaches to building trusted partnerships. And knowing the private sector, the culture in the private sector is results. They're result driven, and basically helping them realize that in certain situations, we can leverage that as a benefit to certain hiccups that we have in the public sector. But other times, if they keep on thinking that result-driven solutions will help with private-public partnerships in government, they might get frustrated. So just setting those expectations and those parameters during conversations.
Thank you very much. And Lieutenant Gray, as we continue to talk about public trust, we think about those that you encounter. Your officers would encounter people who have already had conflict. They come in with some level of conflict. There's a growing perception of violation of civil rights and civil liberties, violation of due process. As the spokesperson for the department, tell us a little bit about how you are building trust and reassuring the image and a fair and equitable process.
Sure. What's important is providing accurate and factual information, whether it's something that has to do with numbers or whether it's something that just has to do with an actual statement regarding the media outlets' questions. I think the more that we are out there in the community, and the more that our community see us doing positive things, the better we'll be in our public image. Customer care goes a very long way, and that's something that I like to tell our new recruits. It's how you talk to people, it's how you interact with people, and it's people of all levels. So in order to not violate someone's rights, you have to pay attention to their needs. The people that are in our custody, a lot of them will be out in our community. So it's only fair to treat them with the utmost respect, knowing that one day you never know, you could be a role model. It's a lot of times when I think back, I didn't realize how many men that I affected in their lives until after they approached me out on the street. So when you have the opportunity to change one life, that's a blessing. It's not a guarantee that we'll change everyone's life, but when you have that opportunity to change one life, it's a blessing and you're on the right road. Just continue to doing what you do and ask questions. So again, when it comes to my position, it's all about actual information, providing the truth, and there's no way around it. So when you're being transparent with the information, no one is perfect. You know, every agency has their flaws, but when you are being transparent with the information, it can go a very long way.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So with that, I'd like to open it up to our audience. Do you have questions? If you do, unmute your mic and please feel free to speak. And you may direct it to any one of our presenters.
Hi, Kathy. How are you?
Hello, Anthony. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting us. I'll just ask this general question. My student, I teach a high school class, currently in Administration of Justice 1, and they're building a website, a police department website, that one of the pages has to be how their agency interacts with the public. And they always have trouble. They always want to say community meeting. That's their first go-to. So I try to ask them to, come up with some groundbreaking or earth-shattering ideas that they can get their officers into the community. So I don't know if anybody out there has anything that they do in their own agency that is atypical that I could use as an example for my students.
Sure. With the department, this is Lieutenant Gray. With the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services, we are always interested in providing good stories because we do have the image of bad. So at any point, if you need for us to come out to speak with your students, I'll be more than happy to do so. Please ask. It's important that our younger group of people realize that not everyone that work in a facility are bad. Not everyone that are in our custody are bad. So we have to make sure that they understand that no one is perfect. No one is perfect. And unfortunately, when there are consequences in our states that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anthony, I would add, and I want to throw some credit to our local police department here in the city. They've had long-standing interactions at the Hagerstown Boys and Girls Club, where their off-duty officers coach basketball. They participate with youngsters that may or may not have two parents in their home and provide role models for them. More importantly, COVID kind of wrecked this. We hope to resurrect it. But we reached out through our local school board and said, give us your most troublesome elementary school in the city, your most troublesome middle school, and your most troublesome high school. And we had laid out a plan, and we were just starting to enact that. So I'll try to give you an example of each. In the elementary school, one of the favorite activities for these kids turned out to be playing kickball in the playground. And we would detail an edge company out and simply play kickball with them and talk about whatever these children wanted to talk about. On the high school level, I'll just skip over the middle school, but the football coach was particularly close to students. And we invested some time in going out and spending some time. And I'm not talking about a lot of time, I'm talking about 20 minutes at a football practice and talk to these kids about what they wanted to talk about and related to public safety and maybe do a little recruiting and so on and so forth. So it goes back to how we started this thing out. If you know your community and you engage fully in that community, good things are going to come from that. I really believe that. That's not just empty words. There's plenty of opportunities for any public safety agency to get more engaged in their community. And it's work. And not everybody believes in it. But, as you watch the good things that come out of that, it's something to be proud of at the end of the day.
Great. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Well, you think of another question, if you have one, we'll pause and ask that, but I will start to bring us to a close. And I just wanted to pause for a moment. Chief Lohr, thank you for spending your time with us, and Mark Hubbard as our presenters today. And the two of you are like me. I'm in year 34 of my career, and we have championed diverse audiences, and I've seen the work of the two of you, and I know that you are doing the same. You've championed female and gender diversity also in the public safety sector. And as March, our Women's History Month, comes to a close, perhaps you'll join me with certainly a thumbs up and high five to Allegra and to Latoya. They've both risen in their careers, and they're doing wonderful things. So we really appreciate you, and thanks for serving as great role models for the next generation. So with that, we just have a couple of minutes. If you have other questions, we will be glad to honor those. If not, we'll bring it to a close.
Let me aggravate Steve one time. Wouldn't be a good day if I'd let it pass. You talked a lot about the outward facing image, if you will, of the department. How much resistance did you get in making those changes internally?
Well, you know, I would misrepresent it if I didn't say there was some pushback. But you know, honestly, the employees here are like anybody else. They want to be led. They want clear direction, and I have a tremendous command staff here that once we banded together and started rowing the boat in the same direction, you know, one of the things I did was every 2 years, the shift boss had to rotate shifts. We were a very siloed fire department. The A shift fire department, the B shift fire department, the C shift fire department. And once everybody owns the whole fire department, that message is a lot easier to be transparent, as Lieutenant Gray said. And I think we're just starting to see the real success of that 5.5 years later. So there was some pushback, Steve. You know, change is hard in public safety. I'm not sure, we always joke about it in the fire department that it's really hard. But I think what's really going on in society today, and I don't care what business you're in, is the rate of change. You know, social media operates at the speed of sound, literally, or the speed of light. And you can't turn on your phone, your television, your radio in your car, or whatever, without some other new issue. And sometimes you can't move fast enough to keep up with it. So if you're not prepared to deal with this rate of change thing, that's a big deal in my mind. But I think I admire the people that I see coming into the organization that can multitask and can adapt to things like that. The younger people are going to make us look like the dinosaurs we really are, I think.
I do want to say something to change an organization in emergency management. The emergency management field has been evolving a lot and has been taking more of a, has been trying to pull away more so from consequence management, which is more of the response and recovery side of things, but and focus a lot on the mitigation and preparedness side. And because again, once you invest time, energy, and even money into those projects, the response and the recovery is supposed to be minimal. And inserting myself into an organization that had prevalently a lot of individuals that were from Maryland, from you know, the culture coming from EMS safety background, it was quite difficult. And also being a younger person without that experience and prior knowledge was also difficult. But my suggestion to everyone is, you know, at the end of the day, it's as a millennial, I know we also have some stigma associated to us, but once I had informed my colleagues that I wanted to learn from them and I wanted to see where I could help and attribute my skill sets. The culture shifted and it was more welcomed. But at the same time, when change is hard and change will always encounter difficulty. And so if you really truly believe that the change that you're trying to make is good change and you have it backed up with good suggestions and proof, don't hold back, even if it might take longer with the culture to transform. Don't hold back to your beliefs.
Thank you for that. And we have one question, our last question in the chat, and you're welcome to respond as individuals or just one of you, you decide. But our one of our guests is asking, how do you deal with misinformation or negativity, especially when it does hit social media, where information does spread so rapidly as Chief Lohr described? Anybody want to tackle that one?
Sure. With the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services, like Chief Lohr mentioned, social media has taken over with the blink of an eye. And unfortunately, there are a lot of situations that we cannot respond to just because. So with that being said, when it comes to negativity, the only thing that we can provide is transparency. For example, on our website, due to COVID situations, we have a dashboard. So everything is transparent through MDH when it comes to the agency. So transparency, factual information, we can only provide it. Unfortunately, the media or even our audience will reshape what they feel is accurate for them. But we hope that the majority of the audience will understand that we are being as transparent as possible.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Kathy, I would echo that. And I think the only way out of that is exactly what Lieutenant Gray suggested, is transparency. So one of the things that did not occur here was regular meeting with all elements of the HFD. So for instance, tonight is my monthly meeting with the Executive Board of Labor. That is my attempt to be open, honest, and transparent on issues. It's amazing to me how social media spreads these false rumors. I call it the I think I feel management style that has come as a result of social media. I'm an evidence-based guy, and so what I found myself doing to combat that is on a more regular basis, communicate in detailed ways. I prefer in writing, so that whatever somebody thinks we're doing or thinks we said or feels that they were aggrieved, it's on video or it's in writing. And if you want to really know, then go look at that. I found you can't outperform social media. You would need a staff of about 10 people, everyone dedicated to a different website. And I refuse to invest in that or waste my time with that. And that may be dinosauric in some ways. But my thing is, let's just keep this organization moving forward. Kind of like the soldier that gets knocked down in a fight, you stand up, put your weight on your front leg, and move forward. And that's what we attempt to do here. So,
thank you, Chief Lohr, and I appreciate the move forward mentality. There was a wise woman who once, I asked her, what did she do when she faced adversity and negativity? And she said, simply do the next right thing. So I have always taken that to heart, and I feel do the next right thing is pretty good advice, just like yours. So thank you for sharing, and thank you, Lieutenant Gray and Allegra. Please know that we value this discussion, your experience and your wisdom that you've shared. We are truly serious about being good partners. So you've been a good partner, you've come with us, you've shared your experience, and we will carry that into the classroom, but we will give back to you as well. If you need us, if you want the perspective of academia on projects or our presence, or if you want us to amplify your message, we're here to help you do that too. And Alan in the corner has a robust social media messaging process that has served us very well in a very positive manner. So We're always here to help. So with that, anyone want to say anything before we say goodbye and enjoy the rest of this pretty spring day?
All I'll say, I guess, is if you're volunteering me in the MACEM&PS marketing machine, be careful what you wish for, guys.
How many followers do you have, Alan?
Oh, between all of the sites, probably somewhere close to 4,000 as a general audience. Give or
I know
take, it varies by day.
We do have an eServe messaging system also that's about 8,000, I think. Lauren can correct me later, but it's up there. So, all righty. Well, thank you for sharing your time. We're always delighted to have these conversations because we really do want to have robust, relevant curricula in our programs. And I see folks from a couple different parts across the nation. So thank you for tuning in and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.